All right, hi everyone. What I'm gonna do today, I'm gonna change a bit my presentation regarding what has been said before, so I don't want to brag things you already heard or stuff like that. The main information is we are a group of different companies based in 360 virtual tour and VR, and all the data I'm gonna bring today are real data from real projects being sold to customer and not only POC or whatever free project. So that's real project and real data from real project being sold. I used to be working for Google as a SEO sales developer, so we are really data-centric and return on investment-centric. So basically, today I'm just going to try to give you a bit more information about what we can do and what the best practice is if you want to do VR and virtual tour at a small scale, and then deploy it to a larger scale. Basically, some benefits about e-learning, but there is not only e-learning, because we heard a lot about e-learning today, but we also do a lot of projects for marketing teams in the factory industries, because they also use that kind of content to actually sell their product. Basically, in the e-learning benefits, the user do not suffer from an information being pushed compared to a video, where the video is just a format that's been recorded by the company, and the employee is actually just looking at it and doesn't have any effect on what's happening compared to VR. Also, it makes training relevant and fun, obviously, as you've heard before. It saves a lot of time about training, and it reproduces a lot of real situation. I will go to some examples later. It also increases productivity of the employees and get better qualification. So we noticed on the project we did, for example, for Schneider Electric, that the qualification has been improved 3 to 6 times better retaining informations, which is a lot. So what makes a great experience? Because as it's been said before also, a lot of big companies today want to go to technology because they want to do technology, and that's not the right concept. The good experience today is something quick to load, because we tend to forget that the technology that is spread all over here in Laval is really it costs a lot. It's really hard to deploy, and you need a lot of technicians to actually make it work. So now, if you want to go to the first step, you should try to find some technology which are quick to load, which doesn't need a lot of clicks to get the information. It's another point, because you see a lot of virtual tour or VR experiences where you have to click a lot to get the information, which make it quite embarrassing and boring for the customer or for the employee. And also it has to be easy to use. We see a lot of HTC Vive and stuff like that, and you don't know how many times I go to big companies and they go like, we have that, it's just here and we don't use it because we don't know how to use it. And that's just a bad image about the VR, and that's pretty pity. So you should think simple. That's the last point, keep it super simple. It has to be easy to deploy. You have to make it scalable also, because as he said before, if you think about a POC, then you have to also think how we can deploy it to all our factories. And you have to think like a customer first or an employee first, depending on what you want to do, if it's marketing related or if it's e-learning related. Some data that we had over our last project. The content is the king is a great sentence, because we see that in the experiences we did, like in virtual tour, for example, for Schneider Electric, we did virtual tour for their innovative pole, which is in Grenoble. And they actually used it as a marketing purposes to show what was being developed in Grenoble, because they have many factories all over France and different countries. So we saw that adding some contents in it, showing what was developed there, went from 30 seconds to 3 minutes of consultation time. Also, the retention rates about information that has been spread on the virtual tour came from 10% if it's only e-learning, reading, papers and stuff like that. If it goes to video e-learning, it goes to 20% retaining information. And then in virtual tour, it goes up to 100%. So that's why you should think about e-learning as a new perspective with new medium. Because like the last case we had, it was a big company in the building industry, and they wanted to teach and to make them learn quicker. But the guy who actually wanted to try it, they were just working in the factory. Their hands were dirty and stuff like that, so they didn't really want to get all the the gear like that and go like it's pretty funny, it's kind of like geek, and they just wanted something really effective. So it was too hard for them and too complicated. So you really have to get back to really easy thinking. And we also do some improvement in post-traumatic stress, because we also work in the medical industry, but it's not relevant here. But it's just to show that it really has an effect on the brain and on the people that are actually using it. This was a study case in fire safety that we did for a big company, and basically they just the way they actually did it in real cost a lot to the company, because they had to stop all the production line. So we did a virtual tour of the company. So pretty simple. It was not 3D, and that's another point, because we see a lot of 3D here, but sometimes you already have all the information, so you can just take picture about it and not doing the 3D, which makes the cost way higher, and then the return on invest is better here. So we did a 360 of all the production line, and what you have to do is you have to find your path to go to the exit before it goes in fire. And at the end, you get a tracking of what you did and how long it actually takes to get back to the exit. So that was one of the cases, and which really shows that the people wanted to try this type of things, but it was actually used also as a marketing purposes later. Because what we did for this company, the first case was we had to do a virtual tour of the company, because they wanted to show it to a larger scale people on the website, what was done here. And then they actually used it for e-learning. And at the end of the day, they were like, we also have another use, which is, as it was for recycling purposes, they used it with the states, and they gave it to schools. So the schools can actually teach how the recycling processes was working. So regarding this info, you have to keep in mind that when you go to VR or 360, really keep it simple, because now we go to so many tech stuff, and you talk to companies that they want to go to like big techs and AR, MR, XR, whatever, but you have the same conversation 1 year later with them, because they still don't know where they want to go and what they want to do. So it has to really respond to a real need, and you have to be able to track your return on invest. Because right now, most projects, they're free, because you can't really track the return on investment, and they're not really scalable later. So that's mainly what I had to say.